What does that even mean? I don't understand this feedback at all. Sounds familiar?
Okay, let's dive into this. I mean, you've definitely been there, haven't you? You work hard on something, like an essay, maybe a report, you get it back, expecting useful pointers. And instead, you see something like, your writing needs to be more academic.
Or that other classic, more analysis of this point is necessary.
Exactly. And you're just left thinking, okay, what does that actually mean?
It's super common, and honestly, it can be pretty frustrating.
Our mission here is to break down those common, maybe slightly vague comments, explain what your professor likely means, and give you really concrete things you can do next time.
Actionable steps, that's the goal. Turning that confusion into, well, clarity, hopefully.
Okay, let's kick things off with a big one. Your writing needs to be more academic. That sounds intimidating, doesn't it?
It really can. It sounds like you need a PhD overnight or something.
Right. But often, what does it actually boil down to? Is it always about the complexity of the ideas?
Not necessarily. A lot of the time, it's actually about the tone and how you're presenting those ideas.
Okay, tone. Like how you dress for a job interview versus just hanging out with friends.
That's a great analogy, yeah. Academic writing has a certain kind of, let's say, professional dress code.
So, less casual chat, more formal presentation?
Precisely. It usually means you need to, avoid slang, for starters.
No gonna or wanna.
Exactly. And also, contractions use cannot instead of can't. It is instead of it's. It seems small, but it shifts the tone.
And it's more than just word choice, too, isn't it? It's about, like, objectivity.
Yes, definitely. Moving away from I think or I feel towards more objective statements based on the evidence you've gathered.
So you present the ideas professionally, letting the evidence speak for itself, kind of?
That's a good way to put it. Grounding your points in research, not just personal opinion.
Okay, so actionable steps here. Comb through your essay, look for slang, look for contractions, swap them out.
Yep.
Use more formal vocabulary where it fits naturally. Focus on making evidence-based claims, not just I think.
And check for consistency. Make sure that formal tone is maintained throughout the whole piece.
Good point. Okay, let's move to another head-scratcher. More analysis of this point is necessary. You feel like you explained it, but...
Yes. This one often pops up when you've done a good job describing something, maybe summarizing a source.
You've laid out the what.
Exactly. You've presented the information, but you haven't quite explained why it's important for your argument.
The relevance bit.
The key question to ask yourself here, after you present a piece of evidence or make a point, is, so what?
So what? Okay, I like that.
Yeah, ask, so what does this mean? Why is this fact, this quote, this idea significant in relation to your main thesis? What are the implications?
You have to explicitly connect the dots for the reader, right? You can't just assume they see the link you see.
Absolutely not. Spell it out. Explain how that evidence supports your claim. Elaborate on the significance.
So, action step. Find the comment, ask so what about that specific point, and write down the answer.
That's your analysis starting point.
Then weave that explanation into the essay, making the connection to your thesis really clear. Don't hint, state it.
Exactly. It's about showing your thinking, not just presenting facts. It elevates the whole essay.
Okay, next. You need to present an argument. But wait, isn't an essay always an argument?
Well, it should be. But sometimes an essay can end up reading more like a report.
Ah, like just summarizing information.
Yeah, or describing a topic without really taking a clear stance on it. Academic essays need a point of view, a specific claim you're trying to persuade the reader of.
That's the thesis statement, right? The core claim.
Precisely. Your thesis is your central argument, your specific angle. It shouldn't just state a fact, it should be debatable.
So if you get this feedback, first step is find your thesis. Is it actually making a debatable claim? Is it clear?
And is it up front, usually in the introduction?
Good point. Then you need to check if everything else actually supports that specific claim.
Right. Does each paragraph contribute to proving your thesis? Or are you just sort of wandering through information?
So move beyond summary, offer your unique perspective, and make sure the whole essay backs it up.
That's the essence of argumentative writing in academia.
What about feedback like, could you clarify this point? Or just a blunt, this is confusing, ouch.
Yeah, that one can sting a little, but it's useful. It just means somewhere along the line the reader got lost.
And it could be for different reasons, I guess.
Totally. Maybe the sentences are too long and tangled, Maybe the wording is ambiguous.
Or using jargon without explaining it.
That's a common one. Or maybe there's a logical leap, a connection that's obvious to you because you're deep in the topic, but not to the reader.
So what can you do? Read it aloud.
That's a great tactic. Hearing it often reveals awkward phrasing or confusing bits.
Or try explaining the idea simply, like to a friend.
Yes. If you can't explain it simply, it might mean you need to clarify your own thinking first. Also, break down long sentences. Define key terms explicitly.
And check the flow. Does sentence B really follow logically from sentence A?
Making those connections super clear is key. Don't assume anything.
Okay, let's talk about the ending. Your conclusion needs improvement. What usually goes wrong there?
A few common things. Sometimes it's just too abrupt, like you ran out of steam.
It stops.
Yeah. Or it just repeats the introduction or lists the points again without adding anything new.
And sometimes people introduce totally new ideas, right? Which is a no-no.
Definitely a no-no. The conclusion isn't the place for new evidence or arguments. Its job is to wrap things up effectively.
So what should a good conclusion do?
It should synthesize, not just summarize. Briefly bring your main arguments together.
Restate the thesis, but maybe in a fresh way.
Exactly, reflecting the insights gained. And crucially, it should explain the overall significance, the bigger so what of the whole essay. Why does this matter?
Okay, so steps. Briefly synthesize key arguments. Restate the thesis differently. Explain the broader implication.
And double check. Absolutely no new information.
Got it. Leave the reader with a strong final impression.
That's the goal.
How about, you need to develop this point more, or this needs more development? Feels a bit vague, too.
It does, but it usually means you've introduced an idea, maybe made a claim, but haven't backed it up enough.
Like you planted a seed but didn't water it.
Nice analogy.
Yeah.
The idea is there, but it lacks substance, detail, explanation, evidence. It needs fleshing out.
So you need to add more. Examples?
Examples are great, or specific illustrations, maybe some data or statistics if relevant.
Quotes or paraphrases from sources.
Absolutely. Properly cited, of course. Or just elaborating more on your reasoning behind the point, giving it more depth.
So find the point and think, can I add an example? More explanation of why.
Basically, add substance to make the point convincing.
Now, is this needs more explanation different from more development? They sound similar.
They are related, but there's a subtle difference. More development is often about adding more stuff, evidence, examples. More explanation often points specifically to a gap in logic or reasoning. You might have the evidence there, but you haven't clearly shown how it supports your claim.
So it's about connecting the dots again, but specifically the logical steps.
Precisely. You need to show your work, essentially. Explain the thinking process that links the evidence to the assertion.
Don't assume the reader follows your train of thought.
Never assume. Use those connecting phrases. This shows that. Therefore, because of this, this illustrates.
Spell out the reasoning. So actionable steps. Explain how evidence proves the point. Show the logical steps. Use transition words to signal the connections.
Make your reasoning transparent.
Okay, let's zoom out. This essay needs more organization or lacks structure. Big picture feedback.
Yeah, this is about the overall flow and arrangement of your ideas. Even if the individual points are okay, how do they fit together?
Like building blocks, right? You need a foundation, intro, the blocks, body paragraphs, and a top piece, conclusion.
And mortar holding them together. That's your transitions between ideas and paragraphs. The structure needs to be logical and easy for the reader to follow.
So how can you check or fix your structure?
A reverse outline is brilliant for this. After writing, list the main point of each paragraph. Then look at that list. Does it flow logically? Is anything out of place?
That makes sense. And checking topic sentences.
Crucial. Does each paragraph start with a clear topic sentence that relates directly back to your main thesis?
And strengthening transitions between sentences and, importantly, between paragraphs.
Yes, making sure the reader understands how you're moving from one idea to the next. Ensure the intro sets up the map and the conclusion ties it all up neatly.
Good structure makes the whole thing much easier to read and understand.
Immensely so.
What about this one? I cannot see evidence of your reading, or you need to support your claims. That sounds pretty serious.
It is fundamental. Academic writing absolutely relies on evidence. This feedback means your claims are floating without any backup.
You're just stating opinions or assertions without showing where they come from.
Exactly. Every major point needs support from credible sources, Data, studies, expert quotes, whatever is appropriate for your field.
And citing that support is non-negotiable.
Absolutely essential, both in the text and in your reference list or bibliography. It gives credit and allows readers to check your sources.
So the fix here is pretty clear. Go through every claim. Ask, where's my proof?
Find the evidence in your research, integrate it properly, quote, paraphrase.
And cite. Check your citation style guide. Avoid relying purely on opinion.
Evidence is the bedrock of academic argument.
Okay, last one. Be more specific, or this is too general.
The call for precision. This means your language is too vague, too broad. Your points lack concrete detail.
Like a blurry photo that needs focusing.
Perfect analogy. You need to sharpen the image with specific details.
So instead of saying things improved, you'd say,
productivity increased by 15%, or student test scores rose significantly in the areas of X and Y.
got it. So hunt down vague words, things, stuff, good, bad.
Replace them with precise nouns and adjectives. Provide concrete examples, specific data, real instances.
Avoid generalizations you can't back up.
Bring your points down from the abstract clouds to the concrete ground. It makes your writing much more convincing and clear.
It shows you really know your stuff too.
Definitely. It demonstrates a deeper engagement with the material.
Wow, okay, we've covered a lot of ground there. Hopefully decoding some of that common feedback.
The main thing to remember, I think, is that feedback isn't personal criticism. It really is meant to guide you.
Yeah, it's about improving your writing skills, which takes practice, and understanding what these comments actually mean.
So don't get discouraged. See it as a roadmap. Use these strategies we've talked about.
Absolutely. The key is moving from to, okay, I know what to do now.
Take those actionable steps. Apply them consciously.
So maybe a final thought for you listening. Which of these comments have you received most often? Pick one or two that really resonated from our chat today and make a conscious plan to address that specific point in your very next essay.
That proactive approach can make a huge difference. Good luck with it.